I think it's dangerous for him to go back in there and fight Lamont. I think Lamont is a hell of a fighter. I can see that going left. So he better be on his A game.
We did how many rounds? We probably did at least 8 straight.
Yeah, but you in the bag for about 8-2.
Yeah.
Good. You're not in bad shape.
Gervonta Davis and Lamont Roach are a done deal for August 18th, with the two facing off yet again. But this time Tank has made it clear that he's coming for the win. The stakes for this rematch couldn't be higher, and it's not just about pride or belts. What's really getting the boxing world talking, though, is the way Davis has been acting since their first encounter on March 1st. That fight ended in a majority draw, result that shook Tank's aura of invincibility.
Bothering him?
No, see, and that's the thing. If you look at the whole fight, he was never bothering his eyes before
you jabbed him.
Before I jabbed him. Even that right hand that, like, you know what I'm saying, that kind of landed, he kind of rolled with it. But after that, you could see him wipe his eye. And then, right after I hit him with the jab, you could see him wipe his other eye. So it's like, it was corresponding to which hand that I punched him with and exactly which eye. So it's like crazy for him to say.
It was supposed to be another routine demolition, another name to add to his list of bodies, but Roach refused to play the role. Instead, he matched Tank's intensity, absorbed his power, and exposed the gaps in his game that had been hidden by a string of one-sided knockouts. This isn't just speculation. Richardson Hitchens, a close friend and training partner of Davis, recently gave a blunt assessment of Tank's mindset heading into the rematch. "I tell Tank that behind closed doors, if he doesn't focus up, it can go left for him," Hitchens said in a recent interview. But Tank is a true competitor. Tank is a guy that's scared to lose, so I think that night woke him up like, ah man, this can really go left at any given moment.
A game, it could go left for him.
I mean, yeah, I'll tell Tank that, you know, behind closed doors, if he don't focus up, it can go left for him. But Tank is a true competitor. Tank is a guy that he's scared to lose, so I think that...
That's a rare admission from someone inside the Davis camp, a clear signal that the confidence Tank projects to the public might not match the reality behind closed doors. Hitchens also pointed out that Davis has been cutting back on distractions, staying off the internet, and putting in the work in the gym. That's the kind of behavior you expect from a fighter who knows he barely escaped a major setback.
He's trying to please the fans possibly and take this fight versus Lamont Roach in a rematch. You know, is it even worth it to please the fans who are going to love you one minute, hate you the next? They're going to love him this minute, they're going to hate him next minute. Oh, I don't like it. He can fight Lamont Roach, and they're going to say, well, he's supposed to knock Lamont out if he does win, you know? Or if he loses to Lamont, they're going to say, oh, we knew Lamont was better. It's just always is a never-ending story in regards to boxing. You can't just please the people.
But is that enough? Hitchens himself seems to have his doubts. I think honestly them guys are both evenly matched. They have history with each other, they know each other, he said, so I don't think that it's going to be that much of a difference in the rematch. But with Tank's power, anything can happen. That's a shaky endorsement, and it raises a critical question. Has Tank reached a point where his power alone isn't enough to cover up the flaws in his game?
Saying that this is a really tough fight. Like, Lamont Roach is a serious fighter. I said it might not be the biggest profile fight, but it's actually quite a tough fight. And Shakur said to me, like, even the day before, I'm telling you, he's going to have big trouble tomorrow night. And I just feel like hopefully this could be the little something that gives Gervonta a little wake-up call to take him back to the mindset of maybe where he was.
If that wasn't enough to rattle Davis, Eddie Hearn's recent comments should do the trick. The Matchroom boxing chief suggested that Davis might be looking for an exit strategy from the Roach rematch altogether. In a recent interview, Hearn dropped a bombshell claiming that Davis could be fighting social media star Jake Paul in November instead of focusing on settling the score with Roach. He's fighting Jake Paul, isn't he? Hearn said.
And Gervonta were scheduled to fight for sure.
How real, or what was to it with you and Tank actually being a thing? Was that something that was talked about?
Yeah, no, it was highly talked about and in negotiations and almost ready to make happen, but he has to do his rematch with Lamont and get that W, and then we'll be able to run it back. But me and Gervonta were scheduled to fight for sure.
I don't know whether he'll still fight Lamont Roach in a rematch. I know he's fighting Jake Paul in November, and then maybe Shakur Stevenson after that. For a fighter like Davis, this kind of talk is dangerous. It's one thing to chase a big payday, but it's another to openly flirt with the kind of circus act that fighting Jake Paul represents. It suggests a lack of focus, a drift away from the pure competition that has defined his career up to this point, and it gives Roach every reason to believe that his chances in the rematch are better than ever.
Hardest punch I ever faced? No. and I ain't shitting on him or nothing like that. He can punch. But Jonathan Okendo, he's from Puerto Rico. Bro, he got bricks in his hands, bro. I lie to you not. He punch hard. I ain't gonna lie. He hard.
Roach, for his part, has remained relatively quiet, letting the chaos swirl around his opponent. It's a smart move, a calculated approach that hints at a fighter who understands the mental game as well as the physical. He's already proven that he can hang with Tank, that he can take the best shots Davis has to offer and keep coming forward. That kind of toughness can break a fighter mentally, and if Davis is already second-guessing himself, Roach is in a prime position to capitalize.
A lot of people are saying maybe he's just mentally not there. What did you see?
Nah, he was the same Tank. I don't believe that. I don't got no thought in my brain that makes me think that he wasn't the person he been all of these other fights. I think he was the same person. All this stuff that he going through stuff, I mean, everybody go through stuff. So he's the same fighter. He's going to be the same fighter throughout his career. So.
Even Ryan Garcia, a former Tank victim, has weighed in, cautiously backing Davis to pull off the win in the rematch. "I got Tank," Garcia told EZ. "I think he'll put on a different gear. I think he just thought it would be easier than it was and thought Roach would fold, and he didn't. Now we should expect a harder fight, and I think he wins the rematch." That's a decent vote of confidence, but it's also a backhanded compliment.
1 foot out, you're going to get in the ring and you're going to have that moment where you know you got to step it up and it just won't come.
Garcia essentially admitted that Tank underestimated Roach the first time around, a mistake that nearly cost him his perfect record. And let's not forget, Garcia is coming off his own setback, a knockout loss to Rolly Romero, another Davis victim. It's not exactly a ringing endorsement when your supporter is a guy who's still recovering from his own brutal loss. Then there's Rolly Romero himself, who was knocked out by Davis in the 6th round of their bout, but still picked Tank to win the rematch. "I'd take Tank because I think Tank will make the necessary adjustments," Romero said in a recent interview.
Something funny. We was talking in like the 12th round, I think the 12th or 11th. We was talking right, but he like, "You ain't gonna win." I said, "Why not? What you talking about?" He like, "They ain't gonna give it to you." I said, "Oh, is that right?" So, you know, that's how boxing works.
That's a common refrain among Tank supporters, the idea that he can make the adjustments necessary to avoid another close call, but that assumes that his issues are purely tactical, that a few tweaks in training camp will fix everything. It ignores the mental side of the game, the creeping doubt that can set in when a fighter realizes that he's not as untouchable as he once thought. For Davis, this rematch is about more than just revenge. It's about proving that he's still the most dangerous man in the lightweight division, that his power and aggression are enough to overcome even the toughest challenges. But if his own corner is already hinting that he's scared of losing, and if his own promoter is openly talking about other less dangerous fights, then maybe, just maybe, the myth of Javana Davis is starting to crack.
He's trying to smoke you. That's what life's supposed to be about. Roach is not just your average everyday opponent. Roach is a person who knows Tank, who's been around Tank his whole life. This is a different fight. You can't put Roach to the side like this. I'm sorry. Now, I'm not saying that he's going to win the fight. I don't know that. But Roach cannot be this underrated like that. You understand me? You got to understand that Roach came from basically the same ecosystem as Tank came from. Roach is a very formidable opponent. So I'm not going to talk about none of that until we get by Roach. Because what I'm telling you about the